What's up, Raider Nation? It's your boy Samori back at it again with another episode of Nation News. And on this episode, we're going to be talking about Nate Hobbs' return, also Jerry Tillery signing with the Raiders, and last but not least, we're going to talk about our head coach, Josh McDaniels, and some of the players backing him up. All of that on this episode of Nation News. But first, a word from our sponsor.
Yo, Raider Nation, I know that you guys been through a lot this week, but I'm here to let you guys know about something that'll cheer your weekend up. Woodson Bourbon Whiskey. Shout out to my guy, Charles Woodson, and Woodson Bourbon Whiskey. If you guys are trying to look for something to sip the pain away, drink responsibly, then head over to WoodsonWhiskey.com to find a bottle near you or have it shipped directly to your door. Because I know for a fact, win, lose, or draw, Woodson Bourbon Whiskey gonna be there for you.
And you tell them one thing, just win, baby.
Now, first things first, let's talk about our star cornerback, Nate Hobbs. It looks like he will be set to return to action versus the Seattle Seahawks next week. He was able to be activated off of IR, but it looks like the team will be cautious and give him this week to recover and be ready for next weekend's matchup. Hobbs is definitely a big part of the secondary, and he was definitely missed out there because our secondary, as of late, has been looking real bad out there. I know we got a lot of solid players out there right now. Rocky Sin has been trying his best to hold it down, but other than that, we have not had any other players really step up. Obviously, you guys know that we waived Jonathan Abram, and he's now with the Green Bay Packers. We brought in Sidney Jones to help out the secondary. He hasn't really done much in his first game last week, and on top of that, we called up cornerback Sam Webb in last week's matchup, and I would say he played really solid against the Indianapolis Colts. So to hopefully get Nate Hobbs back next week is going to be a huge boost for the secondary. Hopefully, I just kind of wish that he was able to play this week against the Denver Broncos because we need as much help as we can get. I know right now we are sitting at 2-7, and it's been really tough for this team, especially this defense, man. So with that, all we can do is just wait. It's just great to hear that he's going to be ready to go next week. Now, and some other good news, the Raiders have finally addressed the defensive line, bringing in defensive tackle Jerry Tillery off of waivers. Tillery is staying in the AFC West and was the former first-round pick for the LA Chargers in the 2019 draft. He was recently waived last week before the Niners game, and there were some reports stating that Tillery was basically a locker room cancer, saying over the past week, philosophical differences with the coaching staff and the front office came to a head, and Tillery's friction with other players grew. The situation ultimately began to affect multiple areas of the organization and prompted the Bolts' decision to move on. Now, what's crazy is that, Rappaport also added that the Raiders was one of the teams that was really interested in trading for Jerry Tillery before the trade deadline. Obviously, nothing happened, but I guess it was good for us because we basically got the guy that we wanted for absolutely free.
For free!
Now, even though Tillery has his issues, in the locker room, I don't know if that's just with the Chargers or he's just a tough guy to deal with, he still has a lot of upside to his game. Tillery is a versatile lineman that can play both defensive end and defensive tackle, which means he could be a solid rotational piece on the defensive line. He's still only 26 years old and has also shown some potential, especially in his 2020 season and the 2021 season. In that time span, he has totaled 81 tackles, 9 tackles for loss, 28 quarterback hits, 2 pass deflections, 2 forced fumbles, and 7.5 sacks. Now, obviously, we're not expecting him to come over here and tear shit up and become Defensive Player of the Year, but he does have potential, and that's something that I'm going to constantly keep saying in this video. Whether or not Patrick Graham is able to use this dude correctly, it is yet to be seen. He is in his last year of his rookie contract and will be a free agent at the end of the season, so the Raiders at least have 8 games to see what they have in Jerry Tillery. This is a very low risk, high reward for this team, so if this pans out for the team, great. If it doesn't, then we move on at the end of the season. But Raider Nation, how do you guys feel about this signing? I know we didn't get Ndamukong Suh, and he took his candy ass over there to Philadelphia. I mean, I don't blame him because they're winning over there, but at least we got somebody, right? Let me know your thoughts on this move down in the comments below. Now, Now, the last thing I do want to talk about is our head coach, Josh McDaniels. And after these past couple of losses that we've had these past couple of weeks, it has been really, really tough. And I know it's so easy for us fans to get so emotional, but to also see our quarterback get emotional after this last loss against the Indianapolis Colts really had a lot of people questioning whether or not the Raiders should just move on from our head coach, Josh McDaniels. A lot of people blaming him for how bad we've looked. And trust me, we've looked really, really bad. And it really does look like this dude is getting out coached out there. And I know that everybody's mindset right now is all over the place. And, you know, Derek Carr, even Devontae Adams, like subtly, you know, called out some other players saying, there's some people in this building that are not bought into what we're doing. They're not bought into the Raiders tradition or organization or even the standards that they have in the locker room. I don't know what kind of standards they have, but I know that our standards are really low right now. But with all that being said, with all the fans out there just being so frustrated with this team, especially with coach Josh McDaniels, our owner Mark Davis and a couple of other players have come out publicly and backed up Josh McDaniels in front of the media and saying that they are all trusting the process. I know the very first thing that a lot of people will be asking is what he thinks on Josh McDaniels and if he is on the hot seat and whether or not he's going to be firing him soon or after the season. And Mark Davis has not wasted any time telling people that he still supports Josh McDaniels and he's going to be the head coach moving forward. There's been quotes from him saying that, you know, people want instant gratification. Rome wasn't built in a day. And I mean, that's entirely true. You know, this is Josh McDaniels' very first season. And I've said this before, and I know I've gotten emotional here and there, but I still feel like Josh McDaniels still needs a little bit of time. But after hearing that, Mark Davis wasn't the only person to come out and back up our head coach. Like I said, we've had other players, starting with our quarterback, Derek Carr, saying, I think what our owner said is best. It's not built in just one day. Like, it really wasn't. What his belief is and what Josh's belief is and Dave's belief is, there's no denying their success. There's no denying what they've been able to do. Now, the difference between Josh McDaniels and Derek Carr, I know those are the two main people that everybody's been talking about, is the fact that this is Josh McDaniels' very first season with the team coaching, even though it's looked really, really bad. But this is Derek Carr's 9th season, and I know he's been through a carousel of coaches, offensive coordinators, but there's going to be a huge question after the season is done. And if we don't win a couple of more games, it's definitely going to look like one of these guys are not going to be with the team in the future. And I'm feeling like Derek Carr's future is going to be up in the air right now unless he goes out there and helps win games for this team. Now, we obviously don't know what's really going to happen, but like I said, something is going to change. And I feel like there's an underlying meaning in all of this. But our star wide receiver, Devontae Adams, also has something to say about what Mark Davis said about Josh McDaniels.
Hoping that be the case and that they, you know, be patient with the whole process. I mean, you look at the history of this place. I mean, I don't think a playoff game has been won in over 20 years here.
What do you mean by that?
There's no magic coach that's going to come in and change that. And I think that Josh is doing a great job, and he does deserve that in my mind. I think that, you know, we can all be better in certain instances, but some of the greatest coaches that this league has seen has had some tough times, and I'm sure they didn't all come out the blocks sprinting like Usain Bolt, you know, starting their career off or starting with a new organization. So I think it's a good move by him doing that.
Now, after watching that video, there's one thing that you definitely don't want to tell Raider fans, and that's being patient, because we've been patient for far too long. And I know having a new coach, having a new weapon here, having Derek Carr as our quarterback, being patient is the last thing that we want to see out there, especially with all the weapons that we have right now. The expectations that we have right now are really, really high. And I know I've said this so many times after all the games that we've lost this season, is the fact that we should be better than what our record is right now. There should be no reason why we shouldn't be winning more games with what we have right now. At the end of the day, as much as I agree with what Mark Davis said, you know, this is not going to turn around real quickly. I mean, Devontae Adams even said that there's no magic coach is going to come over here and turn things around. This has been an organization that has not won a game in the playoffs for the past 20 years. It's definitely going to take some time to turn this thing around. But if you really look back at the very first presser when we brought in Josh McDaniels, I feel like Mark Davis is a bit hypocritical with what he said, because he said that this is not going to be a rebuild. This is a reload. And as far as right now, we ain't reloading shit out there. We got an empty ammo case right now. And hearing that and hearing what he had to say a couple of days ago are two different things. So what is it? Something has got to change, and they got to go all in. And I also did see a report out there that next year it's unlikely, very unlikely, that Mark Davis is going to keep Josh McDaniels and Derek Carr. One of those guys have to go. Because if we keep both of these guys and we say we're gonna just run it back, it's not gonna work, and we're just gonna be in the same exact place we've been for the past couple of years. Obviously, I understand, looking at the other side of this, none of these guys are gonna come out publicly and throw anybody else under the bus. Either the Raiders need to start winning games right now, or we got to do something different moving forward. But what are your thoughts, Raider Nation? Do you guys still feel like we should just stick it out and see what Josh McDaniels can do with this team moving forward at least a year or two? Or should we cut ties with them after this season if we do not turn things around? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. All right, Raider Nation, that is all I have for you guys today on this episode of Nation News. I know there's a lot of you guys probably waiting on the giveaway. I will be announcing the giveaway winners tomorrow on my pre-game preview, so keep a lookout for that. If you guys do enjoy this video, don't forget to hit that like button. Also, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Until the next video, this is your boy Small Raider, and your boy is
Started off in Oakland, now we here. Thought that we was done, we just hit another gear. Look, started off in Oakland, now we here. Hey, pull up with the nation in the silver black gear. Look, 4 games straight, we in the playoff. Shout out to the Chargers fans, y'all enjoy the layoff.